Welcome to this module dedicated to a few key concepts of urban sanitation planning. In the introduction, you got a first impression of the diversity of urban settings and related sanitation systems and services. In this module, we present a few structuring elements for this course, like the components of the sanitation service chain and elements of the enabling environment. We will then present the project process diagram that we will use as a structure for the planning and programming process that you, as sanitation professionals, usually have to follow. As we saw in the introduction, different types of urban settings are characterized by different sanitation systems. A key question is how far the centralized sewer network can realistically be extended, and to define where other sanitation systems are relevant. As a main alternative, we have fecal sludge management, or FSM. FSM entails the management of sludge from on-site sanitation systems. Then we can also think about distributed wastewater management, sometimes also called decentralized or small-scale wastewater management. These systems are physically decentralized and independent from the main sewer network of the city. Such systems may also contain a short sewer network, usually simplified or so-called condominial. Typical cases would be small-scale wastewater treatment plants in gated communities and at building level, which is very common in India, for example, or in institutional buildings, such as schools, hospitals, or universities. Lastly, where households do not even have space for a traditional toilet, container-based sanitation, in short CBS, could present a viable solution. In such a system, human excreta is stored in small containers. These containers are then collected and exchanged regularly. Whatever sanitation system you choose, it will be characterized by a certain infrastructure and related services. In other terms, it translates into a certain sanitation service chain. A sanitation system can be divided to 5 elements: the user interface, so basically the toilet, collection and storage, conveyance, treatment, and use or disposal of the end products. This is the basis of EAVAG's sanitation compendium, which we will use extensively in part 3. Now, from the angle of the sanitation service chain, we will use a slightly different terminology and talk about containment, emptying, conveyance, treatment, and end use or disposal. Now, let's see how the different sanitation systems fit into our service chain. First, you have the sewer-based systems. They can be conventional, simplified, or condominial. If you are not clear with the difference between these different types of sewer systems, please refer to EAVAG's Compendium of Sanitation Systems and Technologies or to the related module in part 3 of this course. Sewer networks may or not include pumping station and lead to a centralized or small-scale wastewater treatment plant. Ideally, the treated wastewater can be reused. Next, we have on-site sanitation systems, with or without fecal sludge management. The fecal sludge may be removed by manual emptiers or vacuum trucks and then brought to a proper fecal sludge treatment plant. Later in this course, we will present several fecal sludge treatment technologies and interesting end products that can be produced out of it. In some cases, pits are never emptied, but simply covered while a new one is built. Finally, we have systems which do not produce fecal sludge, but collect excreta in specially designed chambers or containers. Very often, urine is separated from the feces. This can be eco-san or composting toilets, or container-based systems, where urine and feces are collected in easy-to-transport recipients. Feces and urine can be turned into good quality fertilizer, soil conditioner, or fuel end products. So as you can see, we have a number of options at hand. The question is, which sanitation system for which area? The decision depends on a large number of factors. A lot depends on the initial situation, of course. In this course, we will present tools and applications to enable good diagnostics. A key factor is, for example, the quality of the water supply. Do people consume enough water to make a sewer network viable? Other factors include housing density and accessibility, land tenure, feasibility to extend a centralized sewer network, existing service providers, user preferences, or the political environment. These are just a few factors, but there are many more. But don't worry, we will unpack this complexity as this course unfolds. Many of these factors form together the enabling environment, as mentioned in the course introduction. In fine, such factors influence the success or failure of your program. The government support and supporting policies refer to the backup you receive from the authorities. Obviously, this is crucial for the success of any sanitation program. The legal and regulatory framework is a constraint that you have to deal with, but which you can also contribute to improve. The institutional arrangements refer to the relationships between stakeholders, for example, between government bodies or between a government body and a private sector stakeholders. Skills and capacities are very important to consider, because either you will have to choose a system that is adapted to what you have at hand, or you will have to plan how to build the missing capacity. Financial arrangements refer to the flows of money between stakeholders and typically the cost of different sanitation services. Last but not least, the social cultural acceptance implies the preferences of people, basically the beneficiaries or customers of your program. If you consider the enabling environment in your city, you will see that it is spread over different levels. On top, you have the national governance level, which mainly sets the overarching rules, but also sometimes the financing mechanisms. Then you will have the local governance level, which in our case refers mainly to the city or local government authorities. And finally, we have the communities or the civil society, which is paramount to citywide inclusive sanitation and which you have to engage to the best of your capacities. From the first diagnostic to the final decisions and implementation, there is a whole process going on, which we will substantiate with tools and examples in the next modules. In this course, we've decided to structure the process as follows. We start with a pre-concept and advocacy if needed. This is about identifying the main problems and gaps in sanitation coverage. Then, we move to scoping and data collection, which aims at understanding what the situation is and why it is like this. Once this is understood, we can develop the project or program concept. This is basically about identifying which technical and service options we have and see which elements of the enabling environment need to be fostered. This process leads to the selection of appropriate technical and service options. Of course, you don't do it alone. This is the result of a permanent dialogue with the stakeholders, be it government counterparts, private service providers, or community representatives. Later in the course, we will see how to engage stakeholders for better project outcomes. Finally, we reach project implementation. The construction of infrastructure and development of services goes along with the development of the necessary institutional and financial arrangements, capacity development, and, if needed, the establishment of appropriate policies or laws and regulations. You will probably already have noticed this two-arm project process figure brings together three key components of citywide inclusive sanitation: infrastructure and services on the left side, the enabling environment on the right side, and stakeholder engagement in the center. Keep this in mind while following this course. In this module, we've presented a few of the key figures that you will see over and over again in different variations. We have seen how to structure sanitation systems, the sanitation service chain, and the enabling environment, and how it will move along the project process. We are now ready to dive deeper into citywide inclusive sanitation. See you!